It's not about the injury. It's not about the injury. It's about the recovery. It's about the recovery.
Hi folks, this is Paul Padda with the Paul Padda Podcast. I'm from Paul Padda Law, and today I'm with Gil Manzano, who's from the Vegas Lawyers, your full-service firm in Las Vegas. You guys do everything, right? Criminal defense, immigration. Pretty interesting. You deal with all types of interesting issues.
Absolutely.
So, on the subject of immigration, tell us about how immigration law works, because I think that there's so much misinformation and misunderstanding out there, and it seems like one of those areas of law that, people kind of understand when you say personal injury lawyer, I'm a criminal defense attorney, they kind of understand exactly what that means.
Yeah.
Immigration encompasses so many things, like there's immigrants, there's non-immigrant. Give us the thumbnail version of immigration law.
Well, immigration law or practitioners are a very small niche of all practitioners that practice all over the United States. Immigration is broken down into family-based petitions, so that's the ones that are a little bit more known. Hey, my spouse, petition my spouse, petition my child. Parents are petitioning children. That's kind of more of the run-of-the-mill for family-based. And then you have the business side, which you have a lot of these tech companies out of California, Austin, the East Coast. They actually petition individuals who have a high skill or highly educated that come from another country to come and lawfully work here in the United States. And they petition them and go through the process, pay the fees, and allow them to come and work here on a temporary basis, which is kind of you mentioned. Then you have the other segment of immigration attorneys who do deportation defense, where some of these individuals sometimes may get into an issue that's involving criminal acts and find themselves in deportation. So I have individuals who can do defense of those individuals so that they can fight the issue whether they can still remain here in the United States with their loved ones. So there's immigration attorneys who do a little bit of everything, and there's all sort of spectrums of type of case law that someone could possibly do. But the immigrants are the individuals who I think most people know or maybe see from TV are the individuals so that when they file the petition, they come here for a certain period of time, they do their process, and they eventually get their residency, which is the green card, which, as many may or may not know, originally it was called a green card because the card is actually green. Now they've varied in colors.
It's like the size of a driver's license, right?
It looks like exactly like a driver's license, and on there it'll say from this time that they received it to the expiration, which is most often is 10 years, where some of the older ones from the 80s and 70s, there is actually no expiration, which in my career maybe seen one or two. They're very rare. Very rare, but
they're like a unicorn.
Yeah, it's not one of those unicorns, so that they never have to renew.
I just want to ask you a random question because there are just things coming into my mind about immigration law. Is it possible for a person to be deported just based on a DUI?
It is very, very possible, and then let me tell you why. Because under the current laws, if an individual's here, perhaps on example, he's working for a tech firm, but he's not married, doesn't have children that are born here, he's simply working here with permission, and he gets into a DUI arrest, there are no form of remedies to actually maintain to keep him here on a permanent basis. Based on an arrest, depending on how significant a misdemeanor crime or a felony is, they will revoke that status of why he's here, and they can deport him back to his or her country.
Wow, because normally when I think of deportation, I'm thinking someone's been charged with a felony offense, they plead guilty to it, now they're, that kind of makes sense. Obviously, if you commit a violent crime or you engage in some significant fraud, but not to minimize a DUI, but generally speaking, that's a misdemeanor in most states, right?
That is correct.
Unless you kill someone, it's a first-time DUI offense is generally considered a misdemeanor. But you're saying that a person can be deported because of a one-time DUI.
That is correct. Yeah, and they could because it's a discretionary status, so they can revoke it for any reason, and it could be as simple as a simple misdemeanor, or it could be as a misdemeanor DUI, and they could revoke that status. And if you have no family members to keep you or anchored here, they'll pull it and you off back to your home country, which will make it more difficult in the future if you wish to reapply again.
So if you work for a tech company and all your buddies are going to happy hour, you probably should just go home. Is that what you're saying?
Or get an Uber.
Get an Uber. Good advice. That's very good advice.
Get an Uber.
Okay. Excellent. So, historically, this is a country of immigrants, right? We're a nation of immigrants. Everybody acknowledges that. Everybody has come from somewhere. And it seems to me that immigration is always a hot topic. It kind of weaves in and out. When the economy is doing great, people don't really focus on immigration as much. When things are not doing so good, there's a lot of discussion about immigration. President Trump has made it a big deal. President Obama kind of made it a big deal too, in terms of talking about, but they both have obviously different views on immigration.
Absolutely.
What do you see the future of immigration going? Where do you think it's going to go in this country?
Well, first of all, I think as a practitioner, when we watch the news, 90% of what they say on the news about immigration and everything is completely false, or is total misrepresentation of what really is going on. The big thing when Trump was running, or in his first part of his administration, when he was talking about immigration, he was talking about this vetting. He used this word so many times and loved this word vetting. And so he was trying to make it sound as though these individuals who are incoming into the United States were not having any sort of background checks, which is totally false. Every individual who has a process has their fingerprints taken, and the FBI then does vet or does do a significant amount of background to ensure that there's no significant crimes in his or her background, even from their home country. Otherwise, they'd be denied this status. So that's one big thing that is, from a practitioner's standpoint, there's a lot of misinformation in the news. Where I see this going, I really truly do believe in my heart, and maybe it's just wishful thinking, there's going to be some form of an amnesty, or there's going to be a form of an agreement to allow these individuals who are currently in the United States to be given some sort of status. Either that's going to be self-petitioning, like the DACA students could potentially do, which was discussed maybe about a year and a half ago. On paper, there were some discussions that there was going to be a formal agreement that allowed these individuals to be able to self-petition and possibly become a citizen on their own, which is very unique. You generally can't self-petition in matters, and become a U.S. citizen as early as 10 years. Yeah. As long as they can see and meet certain conditions. But we have to do something. We have these individuals who are majority are good, hardworking people who simply came to this country to create something better for themselves and for their family. I mean, I can entirely empathize with that. My great-grandmother came from Mexico and came and established her roots in Texas, which was where I was born. And it wasn't for her. I don't know where my parents would be. I don't know where my grandparents. I don't know where I would be. You certainly probably would not be an attorney in another country. Well,
I mean, I'm the product of immigrants. I'm a first-generation American. You probably look at me and think I came over on the Mayflower, but that's not true. It's an inside joke. But all jokes aside, listen, I mean, everybody in this country other than Native Americans came from somewhere else. Absolutely. And even Native Americans came from, according to theories, across the Bering Strait. We're all immigrants to this nation. Absolutely. In one form or another.
And I'm sure, like your family, like my family, did it the right way. Yeah. She petitioned and she naturalized in 1954. So she paid and did whatever it is that she needs to do. Yeah. So I don't think there's an argument that these individuals should be given an opportunity. I think where the argument is being made is, how do we do that in protecting the United States as far as the southern border protection, as far as what they're going to do with the economy. We're taking in X amount of people, but majority do kick into the system. I mean, I think the biggest misconception is that they're here illegally and they live off the system. Yeah. Which is, I think that's a big misnomer, and what I think is promulgated by the news.
Statistics don't bear that out. Yeah.
No, they pay taxes. The DACA, I don't know, tens of millions of dollars that they kick in because they work. Right. They pay their annual taxes, and they kick in a lot of systems.
And I was a federal prosecutor, and so I'm a believer in law enforcement, and I'm a believer in transparency and the government knowing about what's happening to protect all of us. It makes absolutely no sense to me that you would have a system that would almost encourage people to kind of live underground. I would think the government should encourage more and more people to come into the system, have some path towards some type of relief. And this is, I think, what is ridiculous, in my opinion, about the DACA system, is this: on one hand, we made a promise to people saying, hey, we want you to come out of the shadows, and we want you to apply for this program. And then you have another president who comes in and says, okay, well, now I'm pulling the plug on the program. So all the people who thought they were doing the right thing are left in legal limbo. And I think ultimately that's where the Supreme Court came down on this, is that I don't think even the conservative judges on that court wanted to be responsible for seeing all these people deported who were simply trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so there's a lot of good, intelligent, and good people that are living here that they just simply want to establish their roots here. Unfortunately, the statistics shows that because under the Trump administration, a lot of F1, which is the students that are studying here, there's been less applications filed because they just simply don't want to come to the United States and study.
Yeah.
They feel because of what's been going on, kind of the tone of the country regarding to immigrants, they have shied away from when to apply, and they're going to other countries. They're staying in their country or not applying at all, or going to some other country like Canada. They're applying and getting a lot of good individuals who are talented.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Google, we have Facebook, we have a lot of good companies
that are setting up headquarters in Canada.
They're going somewhere else, and we're losing out on that. I mean, I love Google. I use Google every day. So there's a lot of good people that we can benefit from because they want to say, listen, I'm given an opportunity, I want to give back. That's okay.
Yeah.
But the statistics are showing that the F1 students are simply not applying as often.
Wow. Well, another interesting discussion about immigration law. I'm sure it's not the last we're going to hear about it. It's in the news almost every day.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely be coming back to you, Gil, for answers.
Thank you
so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Folks, that's another episode of the Paul Padda Podcast, talking to Gil Manzano Jr. of the Vegas Lawyers, a phenomenal immigration lawyer here in Las Vegas, helping a lot of people and helping to answer our questions. Until next time, take care and be safe.